Hi there. This is a quick casting news update for House of the Dragon. That we're pretty sure they've cast 4 different Baratheon characters. Not Borros Baratheon himself, who's the head of House Baratheon during the Civil War, the Dance of the Dragons, but his daughters as well as his father. Because there's time skips in it that earlier in the season we'll see his father making a cameo. So I just want to rattle this off quickly. Now, 2 of these we actually already knew about, but I want to put them in context, see it side by side. That in the books, Borros Baratheon has 4 daughters: Cassandra, Maris, Floris, and Ellen. And the later House Baratheon actually descends from his son who hasn't been born yet, Royce Baratheon. He's born during the war. He's the ancestor of Robert and Stannis and Renly. That happens later. So these are great aunts or something. Great aunts going back. That his 4 daughters are called the 4 Storms because they're constantly fighting with each other, but then against an external threat, they'll forgive each other and line up against, they're sisters, they fight like that. But Cassandra is the oldest one. Maris is the clever one, and they say, oh, she's the least pretty, but she's the cleverest, is what they say. Floris is the prettiest of them all. Not that she's the only pretty one, she's the prettiest. And we don't really know much about Ellen, and just by process of elimination, my headcanon is that Ellen is the youngest one. Like in terms of, what is this, quad of 4 girls here, like Little Women. How do we distinguish, well, I'm this one, I'm the Samantha, I'm the Charlotte. Well, Cassandra's the oldest one, Ellen's the youngest one, Maris is the clever one, and Floris is the pretty one. That we've confirmed already, actress Laura Lake, it says on her resume, playing Ellen Baratheon. And we also found out actress Emma O'Hara has been cast as Borros Baratheon's daughter. Doesn't specify which one, but I put her down for Cassandra based on her age, that she is much older than the other actresses, so she must be the eldest daughter. Outside chance she's playing Maris, because that's the one, we only found out 3 out of 4. We still don't know who's playing Maris yet. But I think that, she must be Cassandra. She's much older than the other ones. The news this week is we just found out that actress Megan Barter is playing Floris Baratheon. This is confirmed. On her resume it says Floris Baratheon. Actually it says Borros Baratheon's daughter, parentheses, Floris. I don't know why they list it like that, but she is the pretty one, the prettiest one. So just looking at all 3 of these side by side, eventually I think we'll get the 4th one. I don't think they need to merge anyone. I think the casting director did a good job here finding people who look like they could be sisters. Sharp chin, high cheekbones, heavy eyebrows. They have the same look to each of them. They look like they could be a family in that. Now, they really wouldn't need to merge these. It's remember back in the Red Wedding, in the actual wedding part, when they go to the Freys, and Walder Frey lists off, here's all these other girls you could marry. And there's like 10 girls he just rattles off who are standing there. They don't need to be speaking lines. They don't need to be big speaking roles, even if they're a thing. Why cast only 3 when you could cast 4 and just have them be there for Borros to point at? I don't think they do that. If they were going to merge them, they'd have only 2. Why bother having one of them be Ellen, who isn't much of a character yet? Now, they're in here, they don't do that much. They have one big scene with Aemond and everyone. But then they're going to be more important, setting them up for the Regency era, which would be like season 8 of this, the direct sequel to the Dance of the Dragons, when they're all like 5-10 years older than this. They do other stuff in the history of Westeros. That we'll see that, but the big thing is, well, they're trying to have a marriage alliance. The Targaryens are vying for a political alliance with the Baratheons, and Borros goes, well, you can have the pick of the daughters, and the daughters start fighting among themselves over, well, who gets to marry the Targaryen prince? Well, here's the eldest one. She would command the highest dowry in money and lands, but that's the pretty one, and I'm not sure how they're going to do that. To be honest, the Baratheon girls were younger in the books, but I think they said that even Cassandra, the eldest one, hadn't flowered yet, and it'll be a betrothal leading to a marriage a couple of years, but they're aging up. Everyone's there of marriageable age for a modern audience. I get that. See, I would have aged them up like that to make them characters with better actors. And, you don't want like a child actor for this or anything. So we found out 3 out of 4 of the Baratheon sisters. Reasonably sure Emma O'Hara is Cassandra just due to her age difference from the other ones. This week we found out Megan Barter is Floris. Another thing we found out this week, separate from that, is I think we found Borros Baratheon's father, Bormund Baratheon. We know this actor has joined the cast, Julian Lewis-Jones, because his casting agency website updated his profile to say he's in the Game of Thrones prequel. So he is in House of the Dragon. It's a question of who he's playing. Why do I think he's Bormund? Apart from his physical appearance, a combination of social media follows. I've explained the social media follows method of we can tell someone is doing something. And this would take too long to explain the nitty-gritty of filming schedule overlap and when he couldn't have been there. Like when the other actresses and people were there, when we're pretty sure they were filming the Storm's End scenes with Aemond, where the Baratheon daughters would be there, he was filming other stuff at the time. He could not have been on set that day. So I think it's more plausible that an actor of this scale, and he seems to be associated with the other Baratheon actors, and from rumors I've heard that I'm reasonably sure that Julian Lewis-Jones is probably playing Bormund Baratheon, Borros' father. Would not be that prominent of a role. Basically, what we've heard is that episode 1 ends with Viserys declaring Rhaenyra will be my heir ahead of my younger brother. And it ends with this big scene in the Iron Throne Room of a montage, a group of all the great lords of the realm bending the knee and pledging and swearing oaths of allegiance to, we will honor your wish that Rhaenyra is the rightful heir. Which comes up later when the sons of these men go, like the Lannisters go, well, my father made that oath. I didn't. I wasn't even alive when that happened. Why should I be bound by an oath my father made when I wasn't alive? Whereas other characters go, we're the Starks. We swore an oath. That means I will keep my grandfather's oath. Like that. So they're setting that up, that these aren't the lords during the Civil War. This is at the very beginning, like 5 years into Viserys' reign. His first wife dies, and he goes, well, I'll make my daughter my heir until I have more, and we'll see what happens. The actual Civil War happens 25 years later, and they switch to an older set of actors that she's named heir when young Rhaenyra is being played by Millie Alcock. Then by the end of season 1, there's a time skip, and she's being played by Emma Darcy. So this is just cameos by the fathers of these other people. So, like, for example, we've heard that Cregan Stark's father will be in this throne room scene, bending the knee and swearing an oath that Rhaenyra is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. And along with Cregan Stark's father, we'll see Borros Baratheon's father, Bormund Baratheon, who is actually the uncle of Rhaenys Velaryon, that her mother was Jocelyn Baratheon, Bormund's sister, that she's half Baratheon, so they go, well, the Baratheons must side with us, we are part Baratheon, and all this other stuff, but that's getting ahead of things. That he'll be in this one scene, we think. I don't think he'll be in more than one scene, but this big throne room scene where they show the heads of all the other great houses bending the knee to Rhaenyra when Viserys commands. This happens in the books. He makes everyone swear oaths to her. Julian Lewis-Jones, he was the ancient King Atlan in the Aquaman movie, but that role is sort of like Other Darren. His TV trope says that he's been recast 3 times. Like in the original Justice League, he was Julian Lewis-Jones. Then when they did Aquaman, he was actually Graham McTavish, Harold Westerling, and for Aquaman 2, they're recasting it yet again. But they would set up, here is Boromund swearing this oath, because then Borros says, well, my father swore that oath, I don't feel like I'm compelled to follow it. And it'll be a whole thing that they're setting up, that it's shocking that Borros doesn't consider that to be binding to him. So we're still waiting on Morris. We're still waiting on his wife, Elenda Karen, which I don't know how prominent she's going to be in this. She is a prominent character in the Regency era. If you read through to the Regency era, she does stuff in it in terms of court politics and intrigue. She's not important now. They don't need to cast her now, but they would name drop her. So it would be a glorified extra standing next to Borros. I don't know if they'd spend much time on her, but there have been 4 separate Baratheon castings so far. The big one we're waiting on is Borros, and to an extent Morris, because she really lays into Avon of, like, you coward! Why aren't you fighting? She sets the whole thing in motion. But that for Baratheon fans looking for, well, what are they doing in this prequel era? Like, the Tyrells aren't really in this prequel era, unless you consider that, the High Towers are kind of the maternal side, that the Tyrells in A Song of Ice and Fire, their mother's actually still alive in the books, that Marjorie and Loris's mother is Allery Hightower. See, they're like a more ruthless version of the Tyrells, but the Tyrells themselves aren't really in it. The Martells aren't really in it. Dalton Greyjoy only shows up later, but season 1 of this will have a big scene at Storm's End and show this prequel era's version of the Baratheon family.